This week on the Baseline Podcast, Josh and I are back talking the NBA Finals and Stanley Cup Finals and how, well, we kind of think both series are over. And then we talk about the Ohio Cup. The Guardians and Reds, they split the first series, but should it only be a 2-game series or should it be a 4-game series? All that and so much more coming up on the Baseline Podcast. Hey everyone, welcome back to another episode of the Baseline Podcast. I'm Ben, that's Josh, and we are halfway through June, which is so weird. Just wild to me. As we're recording this, I finish school tomorrow. I know for all you Americans out there, you guys have been done with school for
out for
2 or 3 weeks. You know, over here we're still trucking along. But yeah, halfway through June, not as much craziness going on in the sports world. Obviously, there's the NBA Finals, the NHL Finals, and a few things here and there, which we'll talk about in today's episode. But Josh, before we get into it, how has your weekend, the weekend been, and then how has your week started?
Yeah, it's been good. Got to see my girlfriend yesterday up in Ann Arbor. Spent some time up there.
Ann Arbor.
Shopping through.
Oh,
Dude, I actually got to talk about Ann Arbor because until I started getting to know her, that's kind of she's going to school at University of Michigan, so that's why we're
I love how
over there.
you.
She lives nearby.
Hold up. I love how you left that out last week. We just kind of passed over that part. We never even said
Okay.
that part.
She actually so she's getting her master's at U of M. She got her bachelor's at Michigan State, so she's got,
that's a little more
I guess,
respectable.
claim to both of them if she wanted to. Just ride whoever has the hot hand. But yes, getting her master's at University of Michigan. So I've been going up and seeing her in that area. And Ann Arbor, dude, I always thought it was like a college town that might
It's
be
not
dead
really,
during
though.
the summer.
It's really
It's
not.
She said it's got like the most restaurants like per capita or square mile or
Is it
like the
kind of
most
like
in like a jam-packed area. They
is it
got a
kind of
lot
like
of
Columbus? Is it kind of like Columbus in the summer?
I don't think so. Columbus is like you can feel it's bigger, whereas Ann Arbor, it feels like everything's a little more tight.
It's like Marysville. I don't know if you've ever been to Marysville. That's what it sounds like to me, like
I've driven through
Marysville.
Marysville. I've never stayed.
Yeah, I
But
feel like it's like Marysville, where it's like you don't think there's much going on, but if you actually go in there, you're like, oh
yeah,
wait, there is things going on. Or Springfield, I
it
guess
is.
maybe would be another.
There's a lot going on in Ann Arbor. A lot of good places to eat, a lot of good stores to shop at, a lot of
Yeah.
people walking around, driving around.
Oh,
Very impressive city that I would have never expected to like actually like. Definitely got like
I mean, I understand why.
yeah, they definitely got like a bougie attitude about him, and I think that plays into my stereotype of University of Michigan
Yeah.
people and how they think they're the Harvard of the Midwest and why they think they got like this reason to be
Figured
better,
out. They got
think
it figured out.
they're better than everybody else. Yeah, it gets there a little bit. Like, so I'm like, okay, I see this a little bit now, but Ann Arbor is pretty cool. So spent some time
That's-
up there.
hmm,
Let's see, worked this weekend, so didn't get to do a whole much sports watching. It was a lot of
mhm.
reading box scores and checking scores and stuff like that. But this weekend I'm off,
Nice.
so I'm hoping that some of these games we are going to be talking about or that will be coming up, I'll get to view.
Nice.
Yeah, how was things on your end, Ben?
Well, Josh, we completed probably the most epic comeback I've ever been a part of in American football. And I mean that. I've coached at the high school level at my high school, and we had some really epic games that year. I coached, I played high school football, I played basketball, I played all these different sports. Let me put the scenario for it, Josh. Okay. The refs are against us. I just want to point that out right away. There was a holding call. I'm not kidding you. I'll have to show you after the show. There was a holding call where the guy got like tangled up. Like it wasn't even like a holding. He just got his arm hooked by the defender, and then they called a holding, which took back an 80-yard touchdown. The very next play, they called a legal man downfield, took away an 80-yard touchdown again. So back-to-back plays. The poor receiver, he like was so tired. He was just like, I don't want to run anymore. But anyways, we were down 20 to 9.5. All right, first up, we were up 9-0. Then we go down 29.5 by two pick sixes by the same defensive lineman. It's a whole other story. Down 29.
Defensive lineman.
We chip away. We get down 20. I think it ended up being, it was 20 to 15. We got a score, but then they automatically go back and score a touchdown. At one point they were up 12 points. So it was up 33 to 21. Okay. With 2 minutes and 30 seconds left. I'm sitting there as an offensive coordinator going, I've got to find a way to put two scores up. And again, in a league where when the refs are against you and where if you don't score quickly, it's pretty much over. And so we at this point we put in our American QB who'd been playing receiver and playing defense. We just needed some change things up, and this guy had been playing great all game. We scored a touchdown within the first, I think, 3 or 4 plays. And then we do an onside kick. By the way, our kicker, this is what's so funny. Our kicker is a soccer player. Last year he played receiver for us. Last few years he's played receiver for us and kicked. This year didn't want to play football. He showed up the last 2 games, so the game before this and the game this weekend. By the way, not practicing. Like doesn't come to practice. Like he just shows up on game day and kicks. This dude had the most beautiful onside kick I have ever seen. He did the whole like bounce it as soon as he kicks. It goes over the front line and into our receiver's hands, like perfectly running down the sideline. Like I've seen very few college kickers hit a beautiful onside kick like that. So we get the ball back, which by the way, the team wasn't ready for an onside. I'm like, what do you expect us to do? Kick it away? So it was about a minute, probably a minute to go, maybe a little bit more than a minute to go. And I'm sitting there going, all right, we got to figure something out. So first play, the quarterback, he runs for like a 20-yard gain, kind of around the corner, maybe about 18-yard gain around the corner because we couldn't block. They had 2 American defensive ends that were just eating us alive. We had about 3 or 4 sacks. It was a nightmare. So use his feet, whatever. So we're like, okay, next play, about an 8-yard gain, we're going to spike it. But you don't spike it on second down because then it gives you 2 downs to work with. So we're calling off the spike, right? By the way, our outside receiver has no idea that we called off the spike. He's still thinking it's a spike. Like he has no clue what's going on. He then just randomly just runs a streak, like just to kind of like run off the guys, whatever. But he notices like something's not going right. So he ends up running faster. This ball is put beautifully between the corner and the safety for a touchdown. We scored a touchdown with 38 seconds left. We end up winning by 1 because we missed the extra point. We won 34-33, sealed off an undefeated season, got us the #1 seed in the playoffs. Now we're going to play the playoffs in July. Josh, that was my Saturday afternoon where I about had a heart attack like 7 times.
Incredible, Ben. And I'm just going to go ahead and say this to all the fan bases that go against the Kansas City Chiefs that want to complain about refs. I guess you just got to play better because that's what Ben's team
Exactly.
did.
Like
So
we literally at one point our head coach turns around and goes, "Guys, we're playing 2 teams right now." Like literally, I almost got my first ever 15-yard penalty, and Josh knows me. I'm a pretty mellow guy. Like I don't really get like
pretty
super
mellow.
angry for most things. And I was losing it because like quarterbacks were taking cheap shots, and Josh, like that's the one position where like I thought we were protecting. At least that's what I thought we were doing. And then there was a point where just we were getting no calls, and I basically asked the rest. I said, "Hey, can we just like I wasn't looking at him. Like when the coach is just talking to the ground because I'm like trying not to make eye contact, but I'm also
Mm-hmm.
trying to say what I want to say. And so I'm just like, I just want an even ball game both ways. They're even and we're even, an even ball. And I just kept saying it over and over again. And he's like, "Are you done?" And I was like, and like one of my coaches was trying to like calm me down. Is like, "You're gonna get a flag." And I was like, and I said, "Yes, please put your laundry away." And I walked off. I was like, I can't. That's just
Put your laundry away.
so. Yeah, so it was a nightmare of a game, and we also got the 2 refs that barely spoke English, which technically in our league there's a rule where you have to have an English speaker on the sideline, but
Huh.
why not just ridicule us? But anyways, enough of that. Let's talk about
What a weekend.
a huge series that just concluded yesterday, actually, as we're recording this. 2 games. I should say a huge series. It was two
Yeah,
games. But
that's how big it
the
was. It only took two
Ohio,
games to be
I
big.
know, the Ohio Cup, which if you didn't know is played between the Cincinnati Reds and the Cleveland Guardians. Something that growing up you kind of like looked forward to, I guess, between the 2 teams. That happened this past week, and Josh, why don't we talk about it because it's kind of weird. It's just a weird thing, I
Yeah, it
guess.
was it's two different ball games, obviously, since they split. But first game, Cleveland comes out, right? And how much does it hurt? I'm just gonna ask this. How much does it hurt seeing a former player from your team go on the mound for the other team and just like deal it against you guys? And you're just like, that could have been for our team. Talking about Ben Lively.
It's not as bad because he didn't really play great for us. So like part of me is like there's just some guys that can't do well with certain teams, and he just was never like the guy. So I think I usually get more frustrated when it's a batter because you're in Great American Ballpark and it's like the easiest ballpark to ever hit in. So if it's a batter, I get more frustrated. If it's a pitcher, I'm just like, all right, he had a good game because I don't know if Ben Lively's really been tearing it up lately, like completely tearing it up. So I guess for me, it's more like, great, hats off to you. It's more annoying when I see a batter who sucked at Great American Ballpark, but then comes into Great American Ballpark against us and hits like four bombs. Like that's when I get more irritated. Like that should have been our guy.
Dude, also, I'm just gonna go ahead and say this. I screwed up the it wasn't Ben Lively that pitched that first game. I'm screwing up the starters. It was
Wow.
McKenzie. McKenzie
Wow.
started
So
that
now you
one.
made me look like an idiot. I see. You let me out to dry like an idiot because then it looks like
Yeah,
I had no
I
idea.
thought I knew what I was talking about, and
Then
then
I
I
have no
find
idea.
out that you actually didn't read anything about the game either, apparently. But
I only looked at, to be honest, that game. I only looked at the batting stats because
the
we
batting stats,
lost,
okay.
and that's all I care about is really the batting stats because all I knew is that the Reds pitching sucked. Well, it didn't really suck. I guess we only gave up what, 4 runs. I think that game was
You
it
gave
four
up
runs.
5 in the first game and 2 in the
Yeah.
second one.
So like 5 runs wasn't like I felt like it wasn't awful, but it was also like I think it was also a bullpen game for us, right? Because I believe Suter started and then Nick Martinez came in, correct?
For game 2.
No, for game one. I believe that was a bullpen game. So we didn't actually have a starter, I believe.
Oh,
Can you check? Because I'm pretty sure Suter
yeah, it
started
was
that
a
game.
bullpen game.
Yeah.
Everyone threw like 1 or 2 innings
Yeah.
tops.
So I that game I was expecting to probably lose because Suter only usually pitches an inning, and then Nick Martinez usually gives up a bunch of runs. Like that's just kind of the way he is right
Hmm.
now. So, and by the way, we're paying him like 6 million this year, and I'm like,
Uh,
he sucks.
for a 4.5 ERA.
Yeah,
Got it. Yeah, that first one, I
Stephen
was feeling
Kwan, I
pretty good
hate him.
about it.
You know how I said
Yeah,
I
you
love
hate
Stephen
Stephen
Kwan?
Kwan?
You know how I loved him? I still love him, but in this series, I hated him because I also realized that he's hitting like since he came back from the IL, I heard he's hitting like 520. Like what is
His
that?
average has gone up. It was like 353 when he went down, and it's like 380 now.
It's ridiculous.
Yeah, Stephen Kwan in that game, game one, 3 for 4, 2 RBIs, a run.
I believe
Dude,
Jose
like you
Ramirez
said,
did
is
okay.
still hitting hard.
I forget if he no, he didn't have a great series. I don't think Jose Ramirez. I feel like he didn't.
He went 0 for 4 game one, and then game two, he went 2 for 5.
Yeah, he didn't have a strong series.
No home
Um,
runs, no RBIs.
no, I mean Naylor had a nice bomb in that first game, which look, like I said, it was a bullpen game. So most Reds fans, when it's a bullpen game, we're all just like, it's just like a givey loss. So it didn't really bother me. I
Hmm.
mean, it sucks because it was the Ohio Cup and you want to win it, but but the
Right.
offense that game for the Reds just sucked. I mean, it just was it. They're so inconsistent. I mean, you look at the lineup there, Josh. It's no one's hitting over like 240. We have one dude. Fraley's the only one that's hitting anything decent. The rest of them just suck right
Yeah.
now, average wise. I mean, Candelario, I give him credit. It looks like a bad average, but he also was hitting like under 200 for most of the year. And then since June, he's hitting like almost 480. Like he's hitting the cover off the ball.
473 slugs, respectable too for him.
Yeah. So like he had 2 home runs in the second game. Like basically did everything for the Reds. I will say De La Cruz is really worrying me because he's back to his old self where he can't hit off speed, which my dad's going to laugh at because I kept telling him he's figured it out, and then now he hasn't.
Hmm.
And he leads the majors in strikeouts, and it's not even close. Like I'm pretty sure he's like,
Yeah, we checked this out not too long
yeah,
ago.
I think he's like at least 10 up on any next guy. And like the stolen bases are gone because he's got a 312 on base percentage. Like he's not getting
Can't
on
get on base,
base.
can't steal.
So like he went from having like a 20 steal lead to now he's got like a 10 stolen base lead. Like it's mind-boggling to me.
Yeah, it always seems like the off speed stuff is what gets the younger guys, or is the biggest
But
learning curve.
it's
Is
frustrating for me because I like you've seen his swing. His swing's not bad. It's not like he's it's just like he can't see it. Like it's like the ball's there and he can't see it. At least that's
hmm
my thought. Camera's jacked up.
yeah, maybe something there like that. But yeah, the other thing that we were talking about with this series, since it's split right now,
This is
Cleveland's
so annoying.
largely dominated the last decade. I
Thank
think I
you.
saw that Cincinnati
Thank
hasn't
you.
won
Appreciate
one
it.
in the last 10 years. Yeah.
Thank you.
But Cleveland hasn't won them all either. Some of them have been splits,
Yeah,
to
well.
be fair. But we were
Thanks
talking
for
about
the
before
reminder.
the show, like,
Yeah.
why do we do the two game
So
now and the
dumb.
two game
So
later?
dumb. Just do one series on the
We
weekend so everyone can get to it.
we didn't do like the thorough research on this
No,
that
we didn't,
probably
for
should
sure.
have, but we have some guesses and some pieces that we put together. We feel like this has always been a 3 or 4 game series in a row back when baseball was like very limited
Pitchers and
interleague play.
DH and yeah.
Pitchers would hit, yeah. So we thought that maybe when we were kids, it was like that, like a 4 game series in one place because that's just how interleague play was. It was very limited, very few teams that you'd play. Now everybody plays everybody. So now you can only got so many games that you can like play the Reds. And so where
Yeah.
they're doing the 4 game series, but two at Cleveland, two at Cincinnati. And it
But
looks like the Cubs and the White Sox are doing the same
yeah.
thing.
But
It
it's usually
looks
but
like
it's but
the
it's like, usually it's the
Angels and
same
Dodgers are
weekend
doing
though.
it, the Mets and Yankees.
That's the
Yeah.
weird part. And like that's why
Hmm.
I think for me, Josh, it's frustrating because like, okay, let's say you're a Cleveland fan, but you can't get off work to come down to Cincinnati. And I know they do it in the same ball. What if it's the same thing? Like, what if you're a Cincinnati fan and it's in Cincinnati and you can't make it because it's the weekday? Like
Hmm.
I feel like do this on a weekend, make it a 4 game series. Heck, you know what? Do it alternating. I don't care. But do something to where it allows fans to be there. And I know you're trying to do it because of like views and stuff, but it's like it's pointless to do a 2 game series in the middle of June and then not do another one until like August. Like to me that's the weird part, I guess.
Yeah. Yeah. And again, when you got to play every National League team, then it's like, okay, we only got so many games because you got to play your division so many
Yeah.
times.
And
Then you
again,
got everybody in the National League you got to
let's
play.
just reorganize it and put Cleveland and Cincinnati in the same division. Oh my word, that'd be so much fun. That would be just fun again. Kind of like it's like the Bengals and Browns. It'd be fun to do that.
Yeah. Um, I was just thinking, the AFC has the Los Angeles Chargers and the NFC has the Los Angeles Rams, so they still aren't perfect in that
It's true.
sense.
True.
Like as far as regions go with conferences, like you got the East and the West and the NBA, but yeah, in the NFL and the MLB, you got like the American and National,
I mean, I think
but
there will be a day where they do that and they just like make it to where it's easier and it's
all
like,
regional.
yeah, like where it's more regional. I feel like they're going to end up doing that one day
Yeah.
just to make it easier on people.
Yeah, all those series I named, it was like, okay, the city or the state had a team in the American and the National, and it was cool because one of the teams went by National League rules where the pitcher would hit,
Yeah, and it's
and
fun. Yeah, yeah. You'd see
and
these
another
American
one,
you see
yeah,
these guys have been pitching for an American League team for like 13 years and like never swing a bat and they're coming up there and just bat on the shoulder like strike one,
yeah.
strike two, strike three. Okay, thanks. Like never actually attempt.
Then you'd have dudes like Madison Bumgarner come
Carlos
up,
or
and
Carlos Zambrano that would just
you
hit
might have to intentionally
nukes.
walk them depending on how many
Yeah,
guys are on base.
hitting nukes, dude.
Yeah.
Carlos Zambrano, Bronson Arroyo, by the way, my favorite player of all time. He had a 2 run homer game against the Cubs. Like some of these dudes, man, they're athletes, man. They can swing the bat.
CC Sabathia was probably the best American League hitting pitcher I ever saw too.
He's
He hit
also
a
was like
couple out
300
too.
pounds. I could just
Yeah,
nuke him.
he looked like a batter. Yeah,
That is true. True. Ah,
man.
I mean, yeah, I mean, baseball's been weird this year. I mean, again, I was even thinking about it too, like all the new arm injuries. I think there's been like 3 more pitchers that I saw have elbow issues. Paul Skeens
Yeah,
is about the most entertaining thing to watch right now because he's throwing 60 pitches this year over 100 miles per hour, which is nuts to me.
yeah. I'm really hoping that I can make the trip out to Pittsburgh to watch one of his starts.
Yeah.
I
I mean, I would
don't
love to
think
see him. I would love to see him. Well, maybe if they go to, they don't play Cleveland. I was saying if you're
I don't
down,
know
if
if
you're
they
down near
come to Cleveland.
Cincinnati, if you're down
Yeah.
near Cincinnati, you could go down to Cincinnati and watch them play.
They came to Detroit for one of his starts, and it was like a noon game. And I worked
Yeah.
night shift and was getting
Yeah.
off, and it's like I can't make this happen on 2 hours of sleep. I just can't.
Yeah. Yeah. Of
But
course.
it was. I thought about it. I thought about
Yeah.
it, but yeah, I'm hoping.
My buddy here who's American, but he's lived in Hungary for like a decade or more. He loves that. He's from Pittsburgh area. He loves the Pirates, and like he's just been so pumped about this. Like, and I'm like, I'm just glad the Pirates fans have something to be excited about again. Like, because as a Reds fan, I was in the same boat for many years, and like I'm glad to see that the Pirates are excited about something. The end of
That
McCutcheon's
National League,
career, end of the McCutcheon's career, and the beginning of Paul Skeen's career.
right?
What a way!
That National League Central division is funny right now
That's
because
so weird, dude. The worst
St. Louis
team,
33 wins, Reds 33 wins, Cubs 33 wins, Pirates 32 wins.
and we're all like,
Milwaukee with a
like
six and a
8
half
games
game lead.
back. Yeah.
Yeah. Milwaukee with a six and a half
But
game lead on everybody with 40 wins.
all NL Central teams are only like a game out of the wild card. Like they're all like right there in the wild card race. Because that's how bad the NL is. Because the Braves are atrocious, and they're the only team that's got a little bit of a gap. Every other team is just like also bad.
Yeah, you're right. Looking through
Like,
the
yeah,
like American League at least, the Yankees, the Orioles, and the Red Sox are all 500 or better. In the AL Central, you got Cleveland, KC, and the Twins all above 500. Mariners and the NL West are the only team right now. But yeah, National League, dude, you got Philly far and away better than everybody. Atlanta, uh, 6 games up. Then Milwaukee is the only one in the NL Central, and then Dodgers far and away, and then Padres just 2 games ahead. Yeah, it's not as good of a league right now.
nope, for sure.
Yeah, we could see a lot of flip flopping around that National League Central.
Oh, you could. I mean, you could
I feel
see. I
like I
mean,
just the other day was checking this, like getting some stats and stuff, and Pittsburgh was second in the division, and now
well,
they're
that's the thing.
last.
Well, because the Reds, you got to remember the Reds they won 6 in a row. Like the Reds were in dead last. Like the Reds were in
Very
last
far behind,
by
yeah.
like 3 games, but then they just 3 or 4 games, but then they just started winning games, and then they got all the way back up to second. And I was like, what is happening? Well, it's like what the Reds did last year. They'll go through these streaks where like in June they win like 10 or 11 games in a row, and then they'll lose 6 in a row, and they like counterbalance themselves. I mean, they're going to do the
Yeah.
same thing they did last year. They'll finish near 500 and miss the playoffs because that's what the Reds do.
Yeah. Before we move on from baseball talk, I gotta give some credit to Aaron Judge too. So
Dude, that dude is killing the ball, man.
yeah, over the weekend, Dodgers came to play the Yankees, and one of the games had 2.9 million viewers, which is the most watched baseball telecast since 2022. So it's
Wow.
been a while, and it was just a regular season game. Also tied MLB on Fox's most watched regular season Saturday game in 6 years. So two big markets, a lot of superstars. Both are like close to being the best team, if not the best team in their respective league right now. So all the stars aligned, and Judge lately, I gotta read you some of these stats that I saw because
It's
I mean, we've
unreal.
mentioned how hot he's been, but his slugging percentage this season, this was a day ago, so it might have changed, but 712. And the only seasons this century to have slugging percentages of
Barry
700 or
Bonds.
higher. Barry Bonds did it 4 times, Sammy Sosa did it once. Aaron Judge's last 30 games, this was a few days ago, so obviously things are going to change, but as of 3 days ago, last 30 games, if you made those paces to be a 162 game season, 232 hits, 184 runs scored, 205 RBIs, 92 home runs, a slash line of a 413 batting average, 534 on base percentage, 1.048 slug, and 1.582 OPS.
This is this is the thing, Josh, is Aaron Judge has proven that he can be one of the best players in baseball. The only thing
Mm-hmm.
that holds Aaron Judge back is injuries and his slumps. Because when he
Big time
slumps
slump.
hard. Like
Yes.
he will slump and he will go from hitting like 280 down to like 240. He'll go from hitting on a pace for like 50, 60 home runs to only having 30 home runs. Like that's the one thing about Aaron Judge, and I think that's why a lot of teams were so hesitant to give him big contract. Unlike Otani, who gives you multiple facets of a game, with Aaron Judge, it's like power, and that's kind of it. I mean, he gives you some average, he gives you some on base, but
He's
he's
got
not
a
going
good
to be a
glove.
guy. But he's not going to be a guy that's going to steal 35, 40 bags, right? He's not going to be a guy that's going to do other things. Um, but look, he's hitting the when you have one, and I think what's helped him is he has Juan Soto there. Like people are scared to
Juan
face Juan
Soto's been
Soto.
so good
Yeah,
for that. Yeah.
so you think about it. If you have Juan Soto, you have Giancarlo Stanton, who, yeah, I know isn't past his prime, but he's still deadly. He's 6'6", 250 pounds. I ain't throwing a fastball down the middle of Giancarlo Stanton. But then you have all these other dudes that you have to put in front of him or behind him, like you're sandwiching him, which is why I think the Reds back in 2010, when they had Joey Votto was in his prime, what made Joey Votto so deadly? What are you going to do? Walk him? Oh, okay. Jay Bruce is there. Like Adam
Hmm.
Dunn's there. Like what are you going to do? So that's what
Having
I
a guy
think
that can protect is so good. Yeah, and
yes,
that's the thing about Juan Soto. He's an on-base percentage merchant
machine.
that hits right before him. So you can't like you can't pitch around Juan Soto because if you get let him get on base and you got Judge up, then like you said, after him, then it's like more big bats too. But this is how far Aaron Judge has come, Ben. On May 2nd, his stats were hitting 197 average, 331 on base percentage, 393 slug. Basically
That's
the first month of the season.
no, and that's what I said. Like, but
Yeah.
we both have said this. I think over the years we both have said this. When he slumps hard, and
Mm-hmm.
it takes him a while to get out of it. But man, when he's hot, he is one of the best hitters when he's hot because you can't pitch a curveball against him because he'll stay back and he'll hit it the other way or he'll pull it or whatever. Um, but man, I mean, he's so big, and that's the crazy part. He's so big, but his swing is so compact. It's like he's swinging
Yeah, he doesn't
like a
look awkward.
pencil, you know.
Yeah.
And like there's this view from the umpire of like him hitting a home run, and it's so scary to watch. Like just like the power behind his swing. I'm just saying, if you want to break into his house, good luck. That's all I'm gonna say, because I would not want to face that swing of a bat right to my head.
Yeah, me neither. But yeah, that's everything I think baseball that we wanted to discuss today. We do have some championship series going on in other
Not even
sports.
fun to
Starting
watch.
with yeah, and it looks like we're going to be pretty wrong about both of them.
Yep,
We're going to get a winner rate at least in one of
that is
them.
true.
That'd be the Celtics, but they're winning much more dominantly against the Dallas Mavericks than what we initially had thought. We thought Dallas could give them a 6 game series, that Luka and Kyrie were going to come and make things hard for Boston, who hadn't really been tested yet, to be fair.
Shooting worse than Shaq on your free throw percentage doesn't help.
It does not. But yes, Boston currently has a 3-0 lead in the series right now. And tomorrow they're going to have game 4 at Dallas. And
So literally
Dallas
when this
hasn't given
comes
me
out,
any
yeah,
reason. Yeah, Dallas hasn't given me any reason for hope, Ben. And the other thing that sucks about this whole thing is Luka's health. He's been
yeah.
getting injections, and I'm not going to come out here and say that they're valid or they're invalid, but it's just so
We said
convenient for
this. We
Boston
said
to once
this.
again play a team with a guy that's not 100%, their superstar that's not 100%. And I mean, Golden State seemed to go through stretches like this where they would only not win the finals because Steph or Clay or Kevin Durant would be off and not ready to go. And then here's just another one for Boston. It's like that just goes to show how important health is. Tatum and Brown have been playing, as far as I know, every single game this series for Boston, and it just sucks that Dallas couldn't be like at its full strength. But even still, if Luka's 100% right now, is things really
Yeah.
changing that
He's
much?
all, I mean
I don't even know. But
he's
I
shooting
just said a lot, so
46%.
you can say a lot now.
No, he's shooting 46% from the free throw line. I'm sorry. Like that's terrible. You don't have to be injured or not. Like, make a free throw. But no. Look, I'm not shocked, Josh. Like as much as I wanted to believe in the Mavericks, I really was trying. I was trying to say everything I could to get my hyped up. It just seems like the Celtics have like this like imaginary CIA agent that is just going around and like hijacking every team. I feel like that's what's happening, and it's just going their way, you know. Um, as a Cavs fan, I hate seeing the Celtics like succeed like this. It drives me nuts. Um, but hats off. They've done something. I mean, I actually I really give credit to their head coach. I don't know if you guys heard the interview. I think it was yesterday, where like they were trying to to kind of corner him into like a black
Yeah, it
kind
was
of
like a
like
race fake
statement, like
question
a
about
race bait, and like how like, oh, you're the first time in like I forget how many years that there's two black head
black
coaches.
coaches.
He's just
Yeah,
kind of like, why does that why does that matter? Like we're coaches. You know what I'm saying? Like so
yeah,
in that way I respect him a lot because like he could have easily folded with that, but instead he's like was just trying to be like, hey, we're coaches. Like treat us like coaches, not that we're specific because whatever. Um so that was really fascinating for me as well. So I overall I thought um overall I think it's just this is going to come out obviously after the result of that game, and unless something crazy happens, I think it's the Celtics will win, and next episode we'll be talking about the NBA champions.
very possible. Yeah. Just to go back to like Tatum and Brown, how they've played. Tatum's gone 16 and 18 points the first two games, so he didn't really need to be involved. But then just game three goes off for 31, shoots 42% from the field, also gets 6 rebounds, 5 assists. Jaylen Brown also has been a stud. He had a really big game three, I think, too. Yeah, he had 30 points, 8 rebounds, 8 assists, goes off for 21, 22 those first two games. So it's just yeah, Kyrie, I think to his credit too, I'm gonna give him some flowers. He's been stepping up, I guess, in Luka's
Yeah.
absence, if you want to call it that, or just like not being healthy with that 35-point performance he had in game three. So all the stars showed up in that one, shot 66% from three too. But
Yeah.
yeah, man, it's not the finals matchup I wanted or expected to see, but
But
yeah, this
and
is
also,
just
um, I guess before we move on from the NBA, I know we wanted to talk about the logo. You know himself,
oh
uh,
yes,
Jerry
big
West.
impact on the game, Jerry
Yeah,
West. Yep.
huge impact. Like again, like Josh and I, obviously we're not old enough to have watched him play, obviously. But I remember watching many highlights. Like coaches would show me highlights of Jerry West or like show our teams and stuff like that. Yeah, Jerry West, I think like he really changed the game in many aspects. Even after playing, like people forget, like he was an amazing executive
Very good executive.
for
Yep.
multiple franchises. Um, and I think that's what made him so successful. And again, we don't know all the details, but we do. You know, our prayers go out to Jerry West's family. He was 86 years old, so lived a long, happy life, and I'm sure that we will remember him as one of the greatest of all time. Who is the logo, and which is just it's awesome to say, I guess that's the person that is behind it. So, rest in peace, Jerry West, and we hope that your family will have comfort during this time.
Mm, for sure. So moving on to Stanley Cup Finals now. I think we both were rolling with Edmonton to win the whole
Yes,
thing, right?
yes.
As it stands
I've
right
been so
now,
wrong.
Florida is up 2-0.
Well, I did say
They
Bobrovsky. I did say Bobrovsky would be the difference maker, and he's proven to be that.
He
And
has
that's what's
proven to
happening.
be that. First game, I believe he had 32
Yeah,
saves
ridiculous.
and it was a shutout.
Yeah,
Yeah. And
which is
then
kind of
game
unheard of,
two
by the way.
allows,
In
yeah,
hockey, it's very rare to see a guy with 30 saves and not give up a goal.
yeah, just insane. And then game two allows just one goal there. And this is a good Edmonton offense that we
Yes,
talked about, and we're very high on Connor McDavid and like the scoring capability that they have. So yeah, stat right here for Bobrovsky. Allowed 0 goals that first game, allowed zero or just one goal that second game. There's only been um 6 other guys to allow one or no goals in the first two games of a Stanley Cup final in the modern era of hockey. So since 1943-44 season. So
that's
some
crazy.
elite company right there to be a part of. But dude's been a wall,
Yeah,
and the Oilers haven't figured out a way to make something happen, but they will be on their home uh, ice, I guess, starting tonight, game three. Uh, and then, yeah, I did double check. I think you mentioned it last week, Ben. This is the furthest distance teams have had to travel for a Stanley Cup final from
yeah.
Edmonton, Canada to Fort Lauderdale area, Florida. Just, yeah, have you been checking anything else out besides Bobrovsky in this series?
I mean, I just saw like some of the offensive numbers for the Oilers. Just it does definitely doesn't look how I was so praising them last week. It makes my words look so wrong. Like they looked like I saw some of the highlights. It just it seemed like I don't know what Florida was doing, but it just seemed like they just didn't look like themselves. At least from the stuff that I've been seeing as I was previewing the matchup. It doesn't seem like they were the same team.
Yeah, Edmonton, that first game they had four power play or excuse me, second game had four power play opportunities and couldn't cash in on any of them. First one had three power play opportunities, didn't cash in on any of them, and yeah, 32 total shots in that first one for them. The second one, I don't think they had as many. They had it was 19. Yeah, so just a really solid offensive output by Florida too, getting 3 goals that first one.
Yeah.
For the second one, they've been cashing in and that was something that I had pointed out about Edmonton is like they haven't, at least against Dallas, they didn't get as many opportunities as Dallas did to score, but when they did, they were cashing in. And right now they just haven't been yet. But I mean, you allow 3 and 4 goals in the games too. I mean, you gotta have a pretty solid offensive
Yeah.
night yourself. You can't be slacking. So I'm hoping that Saturday night I'm finally gonna get to watch one of these games. Tonight I gotta work, so I'm gonna miss game 3. But looking forward to getting to get some Stanley Cup action in here. Uh, yeah. Anything else on hockey or anything else that stood out to you?
Not to me. Again, this series probably won't be done by the time our this episode, unless it's a sweep.
Yeah, because game 4 is
Yeah.
Saturday.
Yeah, so it probably won't be, but it could be pretty close. So maybe by next week we will have also an answer on that one as well. So, like I said, these finals will be happening, and before you know it, it'll be boring time of the summer. Um, but I know there's a couple big things happening this summer, which we will be talking about here in the future. One of those things is the Euros, which Jared, if you're listening, message me because we got to figure out when we're going to get you on for the Euros. Those are happening right now, actually. I believe they start tomorrow or Saturday. I cannot remember. But if you don't know, the Euros are the big European championship. You have Copa Americas in South America and North America. Then you have the Asian Cup thing. I don't know what that's called. And then you have obviously the Euros. This is for all the nations. Hungary is in it. They're in a group of death though. They're with like England, Germany. I forget someone else. Basically, there's like very little chance that Hungary gets out of the group stage, but you never know. So not only is that happening, Josh, but there's a big thing happening. I believe it's called the Olympics. That's gonna be
Summer
happening
Olympics.
in Paris, the Summer Olympics. This year they're not having flag football, but next one when it's in America, we'll be having flag football. So maybe Josh and I will form a team and we'll make the Olympic team. You never know. And hey, intramural champions flag football senior
Yeah.
year. Um, but
Hey,
yeah.
since you brought up Olympics too, I think that's a good segue into a very notable American
Oh
athlete
boy.
that won't be
Oh
making the
boy.
trip out to Paris this
Oh,
summer, and that is Caitlin Clark.
this is so
Left off
dumb.
the Olympic roster.
So dumb.
Very, very controversial decision. A lot has been said about it already, and I think to both sides' credit, there's been some decent points brought up by both sides as to why she should have or why she shouldn't have. And just to lay a few of those out, they're saying that she's not a top 12 player in this league yet. But
Probably true.
the counterpoint has been this has never been about an all-star team. I mean,
No.
even the 92 Dream Team had Christian Laettner on it, left Isaiah Thomas off of it. We've had people like Tayshaun Prince and Michael Redd and Carlos Boozer on our men's roster that definitely weren't top 12 players in the league, even at,
Yeah.
at that time. But it just seems like another fumble by the
By
WNBA
women.
or whoever runs the women's
Like,
basketball side of things to have an opportunity where like revenue is driven by TV ratings. A lot of people would have watched Caitlin Clark tune in here. Uh, Instead, you have people like Diana Taurasi on here that definitely aren't statistically outperforming Caitlin. So, I mean,
no.
there's one play right
The,
there you can point to that you could have put Caitlin in
yeah.
for. But the other counter or the other point about leaving Caitlin off is like she's gone through a college season. She's now had to go through the WNBA season, which happens like right after. And then she'd be going to Paris to
Eh,
play games here. So it's like good for her personally, at least, to have this period where she can rest and then be ready to go like in four
my
years when they come around again. But it
my
just
count
seems like the
yeah.
women's basketball, every time they have an opportunity to cash in on
They
a
just
Caitlin Clark
they
game,
just
they
don't
they
want to.
fail to do it. She's
Yeah.
she's forcing teams to move from their regular arenas to bigger arenas so that they can
And
sell double the
chartered
tickets.
flights now.
And chartered flights, yeah, like the whole league is benefiting as a whole, but I feel like they've only gotten half the profit they could have because everyone just
I
hates her.
but I also want to counter with this. If you're not wanting her because of the schedule, then why is Cameron Brink a rookie as well on the 3-on-3 Olympic team? That's my other question then, because that's the same thing. That's the same argument then why is she on it? And okay, I'm going to say this. I'm going to say this the best way I can without getting in trouble. Uh Look, no one watches the WNBA, okay? Like
Before
let's be honest.
2024.
Like let's be honest. No one went sat down and goes NBA, MLB, golf, or WNBA. No one's choosing the latter. And I'm not saying that women can't ball. Like I'm not saying that at all. But what I am saying is that Caitlin Clark has done something to the game of women's basketball that no one has ever seen before. Who she's doing what LeBron James did to the NBA. Now the NBA was already big and it was already growing. But what I'm saying is like there's been no personality like her. And just because we said it last week and we'll say it again, just because she is straight, she is white, and she cares about the fact that she wants to be good at the game and she wants to be a good teammate and all these things. Just because she wants to do that, why are you trying to take her out? First off, where's your own teammate standing up for you? That's my first issue. Second off, why are they all out to get each other? Like you never see this in guys' game. You really wouldn't. You really wouldn't.
Yeah.
It would be like, hey, hats off to you. And to go to the Olympic thing, look, it's not about the best players, but when you have people that are averaging like 9 points a game on this team, I'm just saying. I'm just saying, and honestly, you want to grow the game of women's basketball, what better place than Paris, France, where the Olympics are held, to have the woman who has been guiding this revolution of women's basketball, have her there in the center stage of the biggest world competition. And instead of that, you said, oh, she might not be ready. Oh, she's played too many games. Oh, she's not one of the best players. I'm sorry. Caitlin Clark is the all time leader in college basketball history in scoring. By the way, not in 7 years, not in 8 years, not in 9 years, in
No
four
COVID
years.
seasons.
4 years. So to me, it's so frustrating because I love the game of basketball and I want everyone to enjoy it. Look, I've done camps over here in Hungary where both boys and girls want to learn the game of basketball. You know who they always looked up to? LeBron James. You know whose jerseys you're seeing now? Girls aren't wearing LeBron James jerseys anymore or Kobe's. You know where they're wearing? Caitlin Clark.
I've even seen guys wearing Caitlin Clark
Yeah.
jerseys,
So
dude.
this is my thing. Why is it now so important that you save this face that you didn't care, by the way, 7 months ago? You could care less because I thought someone had a great point. I don't know if it was Crane and Company. I won't give credit to whoever it was because I can't remember who it was. What if this was flipped, Josh? What if this was a black woman and it was white people doing this? I'm just saying. I'm not saying the R word because I don't want to get us, banned. But what I am saying though is that we have to look at it from a bigger picture, Josh. And to me, there's a lot more politically that they're more worried about than they're worried about playing as a team, growing the game of basketball. Sports is supposed to get us away from this. And yet I feel like this is dividing us in what could be the biggest moment for women's basketball history. And you're saying, nope, we're going to be selfish and we're going to make this do it our way. And again, there's not many women's basketball players that look like her that are like men and are white. It's just a fact. It's just a fact. And you can fight me on that all you want. I'll stick my head where it needs to be because I think it's just sad, man. It just really is for the game of basketball. And again, that's off my high horse, but that's what I would say.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I agree with a lot of that too. Like I said, it seems like this is a huge opportunity on the Olympic stage, the international stage, to continue to grow the women's game globally with the player that's been largely responsible for the growth, at least in the States, and could potentially lead to growing an international audience. But yeah, we're not going to do that. I think another thing, I don't even know if this got confirmed or if this was like just a leaked report. Another reason that they said they left her off is because of concern that her fans would be angry about her limited playing time, being on a team filled with a bunch of other
Well, that
superstars.
just shows you that you already weren't going to play her. Like that just already gives away. Like you saying that gives that away already. like, like
Yeah,
like it would just be a token at that point,
yeah, like
But
throw. I mean, you could run through the roster. I mean, there's a lot of
no, they
women on this
are
team
for
that are
sure.
scoring more than her,
Yes,
shooting
for
a better
sure.
percentage. And no one here is trying to say Caitlin Clark's
No,
number one
no, 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 no,
already,
no.
but she's definitely, I think, in that top 15 discussion.
Yes,
And just everything else that she brings. Also, I would be willing to bet that she's much more American than some of these girls that are on this team that have quite literally gone against America and spoken so badly about him. Some have spent time in international prisons before.
that's true.
and got to see
And
how bad it is outside. But
look, and I say this too, but one thing I do respect about her is that she has not like gone out and bashed people. She just plays
she
the
hasn't said a
game.
word.
She just
She
plays the
just
game,
wants to talk basketball. Yeah,
which
even
I
when people
love.
ask her questions,
Which
she's like, "I want to talk about basketball."
I'm so for that. Like I always tell my players, like let your game do the talking. And look, there's gonna be a day where those the ones that have been body checking her one day, they're gonna be like, man, I really shouldn't have done that. It's really gonna come back and bite me, and
Or
I
let's
think it
just
might.
say they get exactly what they want and they injure her and she has a career-ending injury and then she's gone and then no one ever watches the
No
WNBA.
one
All
gets charter
those
flights.
chartered flights are gone. The salaries get cut back because their revenue went down and they don't have the TV contracts and they're playing in front of small crowds again. And it's
It's
just like, dang, man, this, yeah,
unfortunately,
it's like, yes, we got what we wanted, right back to,
unfortunately, Josh, this is where we're at in the world. It's where
it's
we're at.
crazy. Yeah.
Where we're at. Ah, the world we live in. But I think that's about everything that we want to talk about today. But I did want to go over, and I know Josh can kind of give you more of a preview on this because he's more into the detail of how we do this. But um, coming up here, obviously, the summer season for us, for Josh and I, is somewhat slow. I mean, this year with the Olympics, it gives us a little bit more to talk about. But usually, the end of summer is really slow because we it's really just baseball and that's about it. Occasional other sports that happen, obviously. But we started this last year, and we're kind of making it an annual tradition. Um,
Might as well.
we are going to be talking about college football and the NFL. So, Josh, why don't you go ahead and give people the preview of what they might be seeing here starting in July and as we go through the end of the summer here.
Yeah, last year we really enjoyed it. We're going to do it again. We preview a conference in college football and a division in the NFL, just to kind of get excited about the upcoming football season. Try to recap as much as we can in the hour that we have of everything that happened the off season. Talk about the teams that might be winning these divisions and conferences, the big player movement and coaching changes that happened, who's all coming back and like the college football scene and then try to make some fun predictions about who might be winning these conferences divisions, who might be playoff teams. But yeah, it's a blast to do. So we're probably going one college team or one college conference, one NFL division until we run out of college conferences. And then we'll just
Which
stick
won't
with
take long.
two NFL divisions at right because there's only four power
Yeah.
conferences now that we're going to talk about. And then from there, yeah, two NFL divisions at a time. So should be
Yeah.
fun. Looking forward to it.
And
Yeah,
and that won't take away from other news. Like obviously there's big news that we'll talk about it for sure. We'll try to do like, half hour with them. And then occasionally, obviously with the Olympics, we'll talk a little bit Olympics here and there as the summer goes on. But I know Josh loves to do this because he's like the news guy. His journalism comes out of him and he starts finding these cool stories. And I'm more the stat guy. And I'm like, hey, this team's going to be lit on offense. This team's going to suck. And then we're usually wrong. I was actually looking
I will
back at
say we were not wrong about Florida State and Texas, though.
we weren't. I looked back at last year, and a lot of our things last year were like most of the teams we kind of figured out, but there's a few I can't remember the ones, but it was just like wow, we were off. But it is fun. We do enjoy it. One of my favorite things is just being able to debate on these things. And that's also great too because during that time, then my dad will hopefully be around to maybe do an
Yeah.
episode, hopefully. Which, if you know, my father jumping on is never a dull moment, as they would say. I'm sure he has something lovely to say to us. But yeah, it's going to be a fun end of the summer. Obviously, leading into football season. I know Josh and I are so pumped for this football season. I'm pumped because also college football video games coming out, which means I'm just even more pumped to just be around football. And I'm coaching. By the way, playoffs are coming up for me as well. So I'll be talking about that on here occasionally as well. So once again, we want to say thank you so much for tuning in. If you've been listening on YouTube or watching on and listening on YouTube, then go ahead, click that thumbs up button, hit that subscribe button, hit that notification bell. That allows us to see that you're enjoying it. And what should the comment be down below, Josh, today? What should the comment be about down below?
The comment today can be once Cincinnati and Cleveland face again, who will be
Oh,
the
that's
champion
true.
of the Ohio Cup?
Or will it be another draw? I feel like you know
Or
what
will
I
it
feel
be
they
a
should
draw?
do?
Yeah.
They should just take a saw and just like at the ceremony have two people hold it and they just saw it in the middle, and then just they each get a half
Saw
of
the
a cup,
trophy in the middle.
get a cup, like half of a cup. You know, hey,
Yeah.
you might as well, might as well, or
Punish
not.
them
I don't
for
know.
not having an outright winner. Like, all right,
Have a
you
fifth
only
game.
get
Listen,
half
if
a
it's
trophy
tied,
since
you
you
have a
couldn't get
fifth
it
game.
done.
Yeah, have a fifth game. But anyways, yeah, comment that below, and then I would also throw on that comment down below which conference you're most excited for us to talk about and division in NFL that you're most excited for us to talk about in July. I think that'd be a fun one
The
to
new
go
Big Ten
on.
and the new SEC.
Yes, which is just a giant conference. So, anyways, as also if you listen to if you love listening to us on Spotify or Apple Podcasts, make sure you like and share those links. It allows us to really reach out to the audience. Once again, have a great and safe weekend. And until next time, we'll see ya.